All right, welcome everybody to the Utah Story Show. My name is Rich Markosian. I'm the editor and publisher of Utah Stories magazine. Thanks for joining us. So today on the program, we've got three things we're going over. There was a big referendum started about a massive Herriman project that was going to add somewhere between 6,000 to 12,000 residents to the far west end of the valley. Wanted to talk to Amy Windsor Newton about that proposal. They changed the law, basically making it so that these all these citizens who lived in the area who were fighting against this development project, this highly dense development project, due to the lack of infrastructure, they changed the law due to coronavirus. And even though they had all these signatures, they were all ready to get it on the ballot. The state legislature changed the law. And so as we know, we had three major voter referendums last state legislature in 2019. Those included medical cannabis, which ended up getting listened to at least. Changing the eligibility for Medicaid requirements was another one. And then I can't remember what the third one was. But basically, the state legislature really showed that they don't like voter referendums. They don't like dealing with them. Let's see if this is Amy Windsor Newton on the phone. 1 second. So, yeah, what do you think about what happened with the state legislature changing the law so that the citizens for smart growth and development weren't able to get their petition qualified?
You know, it's unfortunate. I think anytime we have a public process where the people get to utilize their veto pen, if you will, I think it's good to have. You know, this was already an uphill battle as far as the number of signatures that they were going to need and the amount of ground that they were going to have to cover. But then you add in that COVID-19 and the restrictions and inability to go door to door. I think it's unfortunate that they didn't get a chance to really utilize the system and push back on this development.
And according to the organizer, he said that they changed the law 9 days before their deadline. Is that accurate?
I can't speak to that. I'm not in state government, so I'm just my role in the county. I wouldn't be the one to have weighed in on that.
Okay. And you were one of the people who voted against it. What was your reasoning behind voting against it?
Correct. As I got to know the area a little bit better, I went on some drives with some of the mayors of the cities in the southwest part of the valley during rush hour and got to better understand the infrastructure issues. That was concerning to me. I mean, we've got people who are sitting in traffic and who are already struggling to get home from work or to work out there. And then when you look at the number of units that's already been approved out in the Herriman area, I think it's close to like 40,000 that have already been approved that are yet to be built. And then when you look at this development, which was a fairly dense project, over 900 acres at 6.8 units per acre gross density, we're talking about an enormous amount of people in the southwest quadrant of the valley, basically in the outskirts where there isn't great infrastructure. And that's concerning to me. I think well-planned projects like Olympia Hills, they're great. We want to have a good cohesive project that mixes housing, office, commercial, open space, and all of these different elements like Olympia Hills did. But the problem is when you're talking about that much density, those kinds of projects are better next to freeways or transit or things that can help absorb some of the traffic impacts. And so when you put a project out there that's going to lower the quality of life of all the residents surrounding that, I think it's a problem.
Yeah, and as we kind of learned, when the further away we build from the existing freeway infrastructure, the more the new residents call for another giant corridor, which then all Utah taxpayers are on the hook to pay for. So do you think that that's what's going to be happening with this one? They'll build all the homes, and then 5 years down the road, they're going to want their own giant corridor heading down there to support more very expensive infrastructure?
Well, we're already kind of seeing that. One of my colleagues on the council said that he was going to go to bat for some additional transportation funds to be able to help better meet the needs of that project. And I look at that and I think, well, that's hurting everybody in the valley. That's hurting our entire county. Everybody has transportation infrastructure needs. And now you've got an area where you're prioritizing that over others, and that's going to be a detriment to everyone.
Why weren't your colleagues in the city council on the same page with you? Why did they end up voting for it, do you think?
Well, my county council colleagues, I think, had their different reasons, and I respect everybody for being able to make up their own mind and do their own due diligence there. I know some had talked about the need for more housing units. Others had talked about that, we need to develop in smart ways that are well planned, and they liked the overall plan. I can't speak for them and why they were supportive. I just know for me, it just wasn't the right location for a project like this.
Yeah. So what do you see being the answer to affordable housing, the affordable housing crisis we have here in Salt Lake County? More dense development? What do you think?
Well, I think that it's an interesting conversation because we talk about a lack of and a shortage of housing units, but like I had mentioned previously, you have some cities who already have a lot of units that have been approved and they just haven't been built yet, which makes me wonder, is the problem really that we just don't have enough construction laborers to be able to do these and get things built for a decent price? I mean, I think labor costs going up, that doesn't help, because that drives up all the prices for housing. But I think having the number of units, besides the ones we've approved, I think cities can also look at other ways to better utilize accessory dwelling units, things like allowing mother-in-law apartments. Some cities right now say that if you're going to have somebody move into your basement, they have to be related because it's a quote-unquote single-family home. I think that there's opportunities there to maybe loosen up on some of your zoning ordinances in cities to allow someone to live in someone else's basement. Maybe you've got an older person on the main floor and having a young, newly married couple in the basement so that they can help take care of yard work and shovel snow. I mean, those are things that help the community overall. And so I think that there's some things like that can be considered. I don't think high density is a bad thing. It just needs to be, like I said, close to freeways and transit. Mm-hmm. And I do think that developers are overestimating the desire in the market for high density. I think there's certainly people who are interested in condo living or townhomes where they don't have to take care of yards. But generally speaking, those kind of people, there's some that want to move up to single-family homes and have a yard and have kind of more space. And so if we aren't filling the market with a mix of single-family homes too, we're missing the boat. Yeah. And I think that's something, sometimes I feel like developers are licking their chops when we talk about a housing affordability issue because they can make more money with high density. And they figure if they can sell us all on it, then, it's a win for them. But I think we've got to look at the mix there because I don't think all medium and high density is right. I think really the majority has got to still be single-family homes. And yeah, maybe it's on smaller lots. Maybe the demand for the future is smaller lots, but still having a single-family home. Those things need to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, is there any data out there, or have there been any studies about what the actual demand for housing is? Like what do people moving here actually want to buy as opposed to what it is we're building? That you know?
Yeah, I have seen stuff like that, and I'm trying to remember who had it. I don't know if it's the Salt Lake Board of Realtors has some good data on the market and kind of what's happening and what the needs are. So I would say they're a good resource to go to, but I would assume that they probably would have the most comprehensive data there.
Okay. Well, I think that's about it. I know you're super busy, so I'll let you get back to your campaign. And good luck running against that big group of men. You're the only woman running, right?
I am. Yep. Right now I am. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. Have
All
a good one.
right. Take care. Have a good one.
Hey, you too. Okay, so that was Amy Windsor Newton. I hope you could hear Winder Newton. Sorry, I hope you could hear the conversation. What she basically said was she was opposed to the development project because it's way west of the existing freeway corridor. So, you obviously have to account for 8,700 units, which is probably somewhere around 10 to 14,000 new residents. And you can't tell them all you're going to just have to live, work, and play here. Even though it is a mixed-use development project, people spread out. People want to find jobs where they can get the highest-paying job. And all those people are going to want to go likely to the east and to the north. So they're going to want to go to downtown Salt Lake City. And without having the infrastructure available, it puts all of us on the hook as taxpayers to provide that infrastructure when they need it. And so the way I look at it is this citizens referendum, I don't know if he would have gotten the signatures had COVID not happened, but the way the government changed the rules, changed the goalpost 9 days before his signatures were due, that just isn't right. That's not democracy. That's just catering to the developer and saying, oh, yeah, you got the city council to vote, city or county council to vote for it. We're going to give you what you want. We like it. It's going to provide more housing. We don't have enough housing. There's a big difference between smart housing developments and dumb housing. And I've seen these condos popping up all over Sugar House. They're all really close to this S-line trail slash, mixed. It's a mix between a trolley car and a tracks line. But anyway, it goes up all along the corridor are these condos popping up. That's a very smart development project. We had Soren Simonson, who was responsible for the S-Line on this program, talking about the difference between smart growth and dumb growth. I suggest you go watch that program and check out what he has to say on it. Utah is going to continue to grow extremely quickly, and we're not making more land. There's not any way we can manufacture enough land to satisfy the demand. And I think it's obvious that density is one solution. I've been a proponent of allowing a higher zoning of buildings. I mean, why not allow another 5 stories on these buildings that are going right next to transit corridors? It's a lot of students going to the universities. They don't want to own cars anymore. I've experienced that with a lot of the interns we've hired here. They'd actually prefer to put their money into buying cocktails and having fun on in the town as opposed to buying a car and paying car payments and insurance on that. And so we're seeing, I believe, a lot of demand for high density housing from especially students and people in their 20s, but there is still a huge demand for single family housing as well. And so I just think that we need to start thinking beyond the Wasatch Front. We need to start thinking more in terms of Tooele County, the potential that's out there. I know that's going to be the next area of growth for the Salt Lake County. Another person on the program talking about that was Babs DeLay. She's been a downtown Salt Lake City urban Utah homes realtor broker for years, and she also served on the Utah Planning Commission. She was an excellent guest into talking about where the hot areas are going to be for where people want to move and live. And what we're finding right now is that, early on in, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was believed that millennials didn't want to live in the suburbs. They thought, oh yeah, all these millennials, they just love living downtown. They just want to live in lofts their entire life. Now that's proving to not be true. I keep up to date on real estate news and information because I rent homes, and millennials are now wanting to move out to the suburbs. They're wanting to have a single family homes. And so we need to be providing that in Utah. Our state leaders need to understand that demand still exists. And as far as urban housing goes, I think that up is better than higher is better than shorter, taller is better than shorter. It's just a matter of providing the zoning law changes, which our zoning laws, I feel, are still outdated for Utah and much of Salt Lake County. And it was good to have Amy on the program, and I think we'll wrap up this program at this point. And you can follow us on Instagram. That's our main platform of social media we share things on. That gets filtered down to our Facebook account. YouTube has actually proven to be awesome for us. We've almost reached 2,000 subscribers. I'd really like to reach 2,000 this week. I think we're at like 1974. We only need 30 more. Once we do that, we will be doing more films. I know I promised earlier in the month that with our digital pivot, because we weren't able to print the magazine in for April, we would be offering more videos. The problem is I have to devote my time toward both these kids we've adopted and the magazine, which looks like we're coming out in May. Thank goodness. The state hasn't said definitively that restaurants will be reopening in May, but what they have said is they have submitted a plan to the governor recommending that we reopen the economy at the beginning of May. And the governor, once he signs off on it, will allow social distancing, sanitation standards, a huge plan of all the rules and regulations that restaurants have to follow. In the last 3 episodes, we've had on restaurant owners, we've had on distillery owners, bar owners, and they were all hoping that it would be a May opening. And it's really looking, because Utah is I think second or third in the whole country for testing capacity per capita. We have the ability to turn testing capacity into allowing more of the workforce to go out. And so following the whole COVID thing, my opinion is that while all these measures were definitely justified for what we had to do in this last month of April and beginning middle of March, about the last 6 weeks, what we need to look at now is the severe repercussions if we keep the economy closed. A study that I heard recently, it was written, I believe, in the New York Times, is that for every 1% increase in unemployment, it knocks up the suicide and the drug overdose rate by 3%. So every 1% of increase in the unemployment rate, we see a 3% increase in suicide and drug overdoses. So what we have to keep in mind is that all the people who are employed by bars, restaurants, construction, trades, they're the people living paycheck to paycheck. And what we're going to be talking about in the next episode is the failure of the PPP program, in my opinion, and how it really did not go to small businesses. So we are recording that right after this program. You can listen to that. It's going to be just on that topic. And if you subscribe to the channel, we will send you the notification if you hit the bell icon. But I highly suggest subscribing to the Utah Stories electronic newsletter. That's the best way to stay informed about what's going on. And with that, I will read to you the messages from our sponsors. The Utah Stories Show is brought to you by Yoshi's and their new location in downtown Salt Lake City. Yoshi's has some seriously awesome fast casual sushi. They've been legendary in the food truck scene at their location in Murray for many years, and now they're in a great new location right in the heart of downtown. I highly recommend you go out and try them. They're offering curbside delivery, and the owner of Yoshi's was on our program a couple weeks ago. The Utah Story Show is also brought to you by Canyon Meadows Grass-Fed Beef. Located in eastern Utah are the beautiful Altamont pastures where some extremely happy cows live. I've personally met these cows, and they are so happy because they spend their entire lives on pastures and no time at all on feedlots. Their ranchers are practicing regenerative agriculture. And if you haven't tasted the difference between factory farm beef and pasture-raised beef, you need to taste it. Go give Canyon Meadows a try, visit their website, and choose your own package of steaks, ribs, ground beef, and roast. I personally use Canyon Meadows for my meat supplier for all my backyard barbecues for 3 years now, and I'm never going back to factory farm beef. I'm constantly blown away with how tender and delicious their meat is. Go visit their site right now at cmrbeef.com. The Utah Stories Show is also brought to you by Sherry Griffith River Expeditions in Moab. I went on the Yampa River with Sherry Griffith, and I met some truly incredible guides, and we had one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had on a river. The wild and scenic river of the Yampa, I could say, is the best river I've ever floated, and they offer 5-day trips through their website. Go check them out now at griffithexp.com or Google Sherry Griffith River Expeditions in Moab. So our Made in Utah Brewers Fest, I have to tell you, we are changing the date. We are not risking having it in May. I would love to have it be a part of the reopening of the economy, but we feel like with a densely packed beer festival, we open up a can of worms because we have no idea what the law is going to be like. That's the flyer for our beer fest. It's now going to be in July. So we still have to pick out the date. Once the laws start to trickle down and we figure out what social distancing rules apply, if people can get tested maybe before they get permitted to go to events and things like that, what's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen, but we know we are shooting for July for our festival. So if you bought a ticket, hang on to your ticket. It will still be valid for July, and we will definitely keep you posted on what's going to be happening. The Utah Stories Show is also brought to you by the Carpet Barn. Go see my friends in South Salt Lake at the Carpet Barn. I just carpeted my entire basement with their amazing plush, beautiful carpet. It was cheaper in 2020 than the carpet I bought in 2010, 10 years ago. It was cheaper, and it is seriously way better carpet. These guys have a 25,000 square foot warehouse. They really only advertise in Utah Stories magazine and now on the show. You got to check them out. Mention that you found them on the Utah Stories Show by helping us out. And seriously, you will love their great selection, their super helpful staff, and they'll hook you up with a really great installer. So go visit the Carpet Barn, Google them, Carpet Barn, South Salt Lake. And with that is the conclusion of this episode. Please check us out on our website, utahstories.com. I'll see you next time.